Hey, it's the Claims Ninja, back with another video in claims warfare. Today, we're unlocking one of insurance's best kept secrets: rental car reimbursements. There's what they tell you, and then there's what they don't. I'm here to break it all down, ninja style. Quick, sharp, and to the point. Let's go. And I'm not an attorney, and this isn't legal advice. This is years of blood, sweat, and tears in this grueling claims battle. I've seen the games, the loopholes, and the fine print that they don't tell you about. And if anyone knows how this game is played, it's me. Now, if you're serious about navigating this claims battlefield and want more insider strategies on insurance claims and more, then hit that subscribe button and turn on your notification bell so that you never miss knowledge that could save you lots of money. Let's go. Imagine this. You're driving home, minding your business, and bam, out of nowhere, someone plows into your car. The damage, extensive. Your car, undrivable. Your first thought, well, at least I have insurance. But wait, you don't have rental reimbursement. Now, you're stranded, scrambling to figure out how to get to work, pick up your kids, or even just get to the grocery store. And the worst part, it would have cost you less than a cut rate cup of coffee per day, made at home nonetheless, to avoid this mess. If there's one coverage you should never drop, it's rental reimbursement. Let's talk about it. So this is the jewel that you probably would never get unless you were in the insurance or claims game, right? The cost of rental reimbursement is almost nothing, guys. People actually skip rental reimbursement thinking they're saving money, but in reality, it's one of the cheapest add-ons in auto insurance. Now, that's right ahead of the cost to have gap insurance, and we talked about that on another video. So if you didn't listen to the breakdown of how important it is and how reasonable the cost is for gap insurance, check that video out. But to break down how absolutely inexpensive it is to have rental reimbursement coverage on your policy, let's break it down. So I took a look at my personal automobile insurance policy, and I pay a grand total of $28 every 6 months for rental reimbursements, giving me $60 per day up to 30 days. That's just $4.66, give or take, per month. Literally, guys, pennies a day. Cheaper than brewing a cup of coffee at home. Now, that's what you call cut rate. Now, think about what happens if you don't have rental reimbursement on your own policy. Now, renting a car out of pocket easily costs anywhere from $40 to $70 per day, depending on where you live geographically. The repairs can take anywhere from 2 weeks, 3 weeks, to even longer, depending on how extensive your damages are. Now, that could mean out of your pockets, you could be paying anywhere from $600 to $1,500, sometimes even more, depending on, the damages. So if your car is totaled and you need a rental while shopping for a new car, that's even worse, because technically rental reimbursements is for repairs to your car. A total loss, your vehicle's not being repaired. It's gone, right? So that's a whole different video that we'll do at another time. But the moral of this story, if you ever get into an accident and don't have rental coverage, by hitting decline and declining that rental coverage, you'll spend that many, many, many times over having to rent a replacement vehicle when you're in an accident and don't have rental reimbursement. Trust me on that and thank me later. And here's the real reason, guys, that you should never decline rental reimbursement coverage on your policy. It's because you can never rely on another person's insurance company to actually, put you in a rental when you need one. And if they do, it's on their time frame, and I'll explain. So, let's say for instance someone hits your vehicle and you don't need rental reimbursement, right? Wrong. Well, if you don't have it on your policy, now you're at the mercy of the insurance company for the person who hit your vehicle. So let's say, for instance, it's disputed liability. Say, for instance, you're saying that you had the green light, the other person is saying they had the green light. There's no dash cams or traffic cameras to retrieve, there's no independent witnesses. Who do you think that insurance company is going to believe? They're probably going to go with their insured story if there's not enough information to prove otherwise. So if liability is disputed, as it will be, if you're saying you have the green light, they're saying that they have the green light, or even stop signs or lane changes, those are some of the more common disputed liability matters. Their insurance company won't pay for your rental until they have determined that their driver actually ran the light. But here's the caveat: sometimes they're never able to determine that because there's just not enough information to believe that you are right and their insurance policyholder is wrong. So that process, even if they determine that at some point, can take weeks, if not sometimes a month or even more. In the meantime, you're stuck waiting. Here's what happens behind the scenes while you're carless, right? You have no car to drive. Your life stops at that point. Adjusters have to interview all parties involved. So both drivers, right? They're requesting the police report and depending on the responding officer to make, the proper decision as to who they believe, had the right of way, which is the green light. They're talking to independent witnesses, inspecting both vehicles, and back to the police report. Remember, officers are not independent witnesses. They are not witnesses to the incident. They simply arrive and use their best judgment based on the rules of the road for your state, as well as what they see, the optics of what they see. And that helps them to make the proper determination as to who they believe was at fault. Many times, though, I will tell you that police officers will say on police reports, listen, I don't know. I couldn't determine fault due to what? Conflicting stories. So that would mean that when the adjusters from both sides, your adjuster as well as the adjuster for the person you believe ran the light and hit you, what they will determine is that the officer wasn't able to determine fault for the same reason that they weren't able to determine fault. And that's because there are conflicting stories, no independent witnesses, no videos, none of that. So in the meantime, though, your car is undrivable and you have no way to get around. So the solution, well, if you have rental reimbursement on your own auto policy, then there's no waiting game involved. And it has nothing to do with who's at fault. It is a covered loss, and you simply report the claim. Regardless of where they are in the investigation process, they will put you in a rental car. So either based on the language of your policy, either they will tell you submit the receipts and they'll reimburse you, or B, some carriers have a collaboration with rental agencies where they will direct bill the agency, or the agency, I'm sorry, will direct bill the insurance company, and you don't really have to come out of pocket at all. And then here's the fine print. If you only carry liability insurance, which means that you don't have coverage for your car because maybe your car is an older car or you just can't afford it after you paid it off, you can't afford it. So you just carry liability, which is state mandated for the other person's injury or their car. There's no rental reimbursement allowed in those instances. And if you have collision and comprehensive, then you qualify to have the rental reimbursement coverage should you decide to be smart and pay those few dollars per month. Now, most of the insurance policies, they sort of kind of are the same. There's a standard policy language with regards to auto insurance policies, and they can change a little. But for the most part, rental reimbursement policy language reads the same. And I quote, if you have rental car reimbursement coverage on your car insurance policy, you can rent a car and submit your receipts after a covered accident damages or totals your vehicle. We typically reimburse your rental car fees at a daily rate between $40 and $60 per day, depending the caveat on your policy. And if another driver was at fault for the accident, their liability insurance company can also pay for your rental. However, determining fault can take time. If the other driver is ultimately held liable for the accident, you may be reimbursed by their liability insurance carrier for the portion of rental expenses you paid out of pocket. In essence, anything that your insurance policy doesn't cover, once liability, and if liability is determined in your favor, then you can submit those reasonable receipts to that at fault carrier's insurance company for further reimbursement. So let me clarify something, guys. When I say for further reimbursement or consideration, I'm referring to those instances where you may only have $30 per day of coverage on your own policy. But when it's all said and done out the door, the daily rate is more like $45 per day. After the other carrier accepts liability, even if you used your own policy, you can then submit anything over and above your $30 per day that wasn't covered by your own carrier, if that makes sense. So you're not double dipping. You're just saying, okay, I'm out $15 per day for 10 days, that's $150. I want that money back because my policy only gives me $30 per day. That's what I mean. So before we move on, guys, let me clarify something. The difference between loss of use, that's a third party benefit, versus rental reimbursement. So when you're in an accident that wasn't your fault and you choose to have the at fault carrier's insurance company to pay for your car repairs, they will also owe you loss of use. And let's just say, for the purposes of this conversation, let's bring it forward. The investigation's over. That adjuster determined that their policyholder really did run the light and strike and damage your vehicle, violating your right of way. Now, you have a right to collect under loss of use. Loss of use is basically a legal entitlement that applies when you're a third party. So, in essence, you're the victim of someone else's negligence, and the at fault carrier's insurance company is then responsible for paying for the damages to your car as well as loss of use. Loss of use happens when your vehicle is A, disabled, or A and B, disabled, and then it's towed to the repair facility. So either way, from the time your vehicle is either disabled, not drivable, or if it's in the shop, you're entitled to a dollar figure for every day that your vehicle is not accessible to you. Now, the difference in loss of use and rental reimbursements is that rental reimbursement is a policy benefit that allows you, as a policy holder with your own insurance carrier, a certain dollar figure for when your vehicle is in an accident and disabled, right? Or not drivable due to an accident, or in the shop being repaired. The difference is that you typically won't be cashed out by your own insurance carrier for the days that your vehicle is not accessible to you, versus loss of use is very different. And it means that you don't actually have to rent a car at all. Instead, you can request a cash payout for every day that your vehicle is not drivable or being repaired. In essence, you don't have access to your vehicle. You can use that money however you want, or not use it at all. It's not cheating, guys. It's a benefit that you are entitled to as the owner of a damaged vehicle. Example. So let's say that your car is in the shop for 10 days after an accident. Instead of renting a car, you can ask for a cash payout based on your state's daily loss of use rate. Every state's different. And I will post that down in the description box so you can follow the metrics to see what state you live in and what that payout is. So you can use that money to, for Uber, Lyft, rideshare, borrow a friend's car, or even just pocket it if you don't need transportation. The insurance company cannot force you as a third party to rent a car. They must compensate you upon request for the inconvenience of not having access to your vehicle. Now, this is a huge money saving opportunity, especially in today's world of remote work. Some people don't even drive into work. They don't have kids to drop off, and they may not need a replacement vehicle, right? So, the fine print of what you can and can't do, loss of use is state specific. Each state, guys, has guidelines on how much the at fault carrier must compensate you per day. And like I said, I'll post those state specific details in the description box. This only applies, guys, keep this in mind, if the at fault driver's insurance company is paying for your damages. You are not required to actually rent a car to receive compensation. You can legally take the money and do whatever you want with it. Now, there is something that you cannot do. Okay. And you must remember this. And it's called double dipping. That's insurance fraud. You can't collect rental car compensation from both your insurance company and the at fault driver's insurance at the same time. This is called double dipping, guys, and it is illegal. If you file a claim with both companies for rental reimbursement or loss of use, the insurance companies will communicate with each other before it's all said and done. And you could be hit, guys, with material misrepresentation or fraud charges. So don't try it. It's not worth the risk. So the takeaways of this, guys, and how to make loss of use work for you if you are a third party, meaning someone else caused the accident, you're entitled to loss of use. This is not an option when using your own insurance company, guys. Please keep that in mind because of the language. The policy language typically requires you to either use direct billing for a local rental car agency, or submit receipts for reimbursement. Now, let's slow down for a moment because as claims warriors, you want to be informed. Specific to every state, you have to make sure that you check out the matrix because every state's different and laws do change. So stay updated. Check out the state metrics in the description box. However, and disclaimers, always double check with your current regulations because, as I mentioned earlier, insurance laws can and do change over time. But this is super important. Some states, now listen up, require the at-fault insurance carrier to pay a person whose vehicle has been damaged, they've lost access to their vehicle due to the negligence of their policy holder, or it's being repaired, to pay them a daily rate that is commensurate with or that matches the like, kind,
My
and
name is Jeff.
quality of the vehicle that you own. This means if you own, let's just say, a luxury SUV, the at-fault insurance carrier may have to compensate you at a rate equivalent to renting a similar vehicle as to what you own. But here's the catch. Many states only require the at-fault carrier's insurance company to pay for basic transportation. That means that even if you drive or own a luxury car, a luxury SUV, they may be only required to cover the cost of, let's just say, a Nissan Versa or similar, an economy car. So this is why it's critical to know your state's laws before engaging with the at-fault insurance company's adjuster. So what's the moral of this story, guys? Knowledge is power. Know your rights, check your state laws, and do your homework before negotiating with an insurance company. The difference between getting a comparable luxury rental and being stuck with a subcompact car could come down to what your state laws allow with regards to loss of use. And here's my tip of the day, guys. Never, ever, ever, ever purposely piss off the adjuster assigned to your case, especially if they work for the other person's insurance carrier. Be respectful, even when you may disagree. It never works out in your favor. Unfortunately, the insurance industry has made itself a battlefield. And as a warrior, it's okay to fight for what's yours. But remember, as true warriors, the greatest weapon isn't your sword. It's the courage to stand up and fight for what is rightfully yours. And that's the secrets, guys, to navigating rental usage if you're in an accident. There are many more jewel strategies and insider hacks to come. If you haven't already, hit that subscribe button and turn on your notification bell so that you don't miss any valuable tips and tricks. And I, Claims Warrior, will see you on the next video.